Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are making these claims that Diana is somehow the reincarnation of Princess Diana, that they are similar spirits, that Diana is guiding Meghan and Harry through their new life in Montecito. Is that really true?
Of course not. It's nonsense, but you can actually pretend it. You can create it, can't you? It's very interesting because the whole thing of how Meghan met Harry and have gone through their life are things that she has tried to keep Diana right up there in the front line. So I think that he would keep him under her thumb. I don't see any other reason to do that. I mean, initially, when he first met her, she was wearing lots of Diana's favorite perfume, which made him feel, oh, she's the one. Um, he was very easily taken on. Now, it could have been just a very unusual coincidence there, but she's a very cunning woman and she's a clever woman in that sort of area. So I'm sure she did that to encourage him to fall flat for her. Then at the engagement, when there was this BBC interview, which she complained about afterwards hugely because she wasn't allowed to take over. She had to just answer the questions she was given. But she said, Harry said, that if my mother knew, my mother would be jumping up and down, and she and Meghan would be the closest of friends. Now, that's not true. She wouldn't have liked that because she cared very much about the monarchy. But anyway, that's what she said. And Meghan took his hand and said, she's with us now. Okay. Now, this is all spooky, but it goes on. And then after some time, she went to, no, it was after 20 years his mother had died. They went to Diana's resting home, and she kneeled on the ground and said she asked for her to give her clarity and guidance. And Meghan believes that Diana is with them every single day.
All right, folks, let's start with the big bombshell. Angela Levin, one of the most respected royal biographers, claims that Meghan intentionally modeled herself after Diana to emotionally control Prince Harry. And honestly, it makes perfect sense. From the way she dresses, to the way she speaks, to the way she positions herself in front of the cameras. It's all a calculated move. And why? Because Meghan knows that Harry's biggest emotional wound is losing his mother. And if she can convince him that she's just like Diana, then guess what? She becomes irreplaceable in his mind.
I mean, he said that to everybody. He doesn't make any sort of, no concern about saying that. Like he said before, that she would be very pleased that he was going to live in America. It's all what he needs somehow to stay alive, that his mother is still there. And it stopped him, I think, from doing lots of things because he's only doing things that he thinks his mother wants. And actually, after such a long time, he can love her to pieces, forever, but she needs to move forward and he doesn't want to. And I think that this is a way that Meghan holds him back, keeps him there, can easily say anything about, oh, but, I'm sure your mother told me today, dot, 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 dot. And I think that the way that she began with that has made him feel that she is Diana number two. But where is she? She's not compassionate. She's not like Diana was. Excuse me. And she's nothing like her at all. Diana was very young and she'd had a very hard childhood, so she had issues, but she was a very beautiful, wonderful girl, and Meghan is not that by far.
See, Angela, everything you've just described to me sounds very manipulating.
Yeah.
And that's quite toxic when you're dealing with someone's grief. Because even in Spare, Harry seems very sucked in and manipulated by so many of the lies that Meghan told. So, for example, we're meant to believe that Meghan had never heard of Prince Andrew, that Meghan had no idea about any aspects of the royal family.
How
When
to curtsy.
yeah, she didn't know how to curtsy, when in fact she had visited Buckingham Palace as a child. Biographies of Meghan's early life reveal that she was acutely aware of the death of Princess Diana, and I'm a very similar age to Meghan. And believe me, anyone who was a teenager when Princess Diana died was incredibly touched and inspired by that event.
This next part is borderline creepy. Meghan reportedly went to Diana's resting place, knelt down and asked for guidance. And if that wasn't enough, Harry actually believes that his mother is with them every single day. Folks, I don't know about you, but this sounds less like a love story and more like a cult initiation. Think about it. Meghan has inserted herself into Harry's grief, making herself the direct connection between him and his dead mother. This isn't love, this is pure psychological control. And the worst part? Harry doesn't even realize it.
Yes, and I think you're right, but I think it could have been a wide range of people who were inspired by her. You know, the way she went to visit people in hospitals and look after them and be brave and do all those things. And for, you know, children in Africa, but people would come to her so much. They'd love her. And now if you watch small children, often, I'm not saying always, but when Meghan wants to go for them to have a picture, they won't. They push her away. They don't want her. And I always think that small children have a very, very strong sense of who's good for them and who isn't. I mean, they can never get enough of Catherine. But often with Meghan, they push her away. And often Meghan just goes to have a picture taken there because that will look good. She doesn't even speak to the child. And I think she hasn't got that je ne sais quoi, which Diana had and which most of us can admire hugely.
Oh, I mean, she didn't at all. Let's be honest about it. She didn't at all. And there's a fundamental difference with Diana, which is that Diana grew up with us. She was a young virgin when she became famous. We saw her vulnerabilities. We saw the end of her marriage. And with Meghan, you know, this is a ambitious, much older, divorced Hollywood actress who wanted to be internationally famous without having to do much work. But Andrew, I just want to show you what Andrew Morton, Diana's biographer, who of course wrote her true story, revealed about Meghan when he was researching her book. He says Meghan, when she was a teenager, was captivated by Diana. She had my book, Diana, Her True Story, on her shelves. They watched the funeral. She and her friends were saddened by it and very moved by it. I think they did some charity collections afterward, took toys and things like that to the charity store. Well, Angela, that's all fine, but that means that she trapped Prince Harry into a lie because he so naively bought into her absolute bullcrap that she knew nothing about the royal family, that she was completely naive, which, look, unfortunately, I do think she manipulated Harry from a very early stage. At the same time, I think he was very naive to believe what was obviously mistruths.
Yeah, but he was desperate to get married. He said to me that he was fed up with being the third one. You know, it would be William, Catherine, and him. And at times he felt, you know, he's the sort of gooseberry that hangs on. And I completely understood that because, you know, he was getting on. And it is difficult when your brother is settling down and having the first child, and it's very difficult. But I think that he very much wanted to marry, and it was very difficult to get the right woman because a lot of them didn't want to be in the spotlight. They couldn't think of anything worse. And so it was difficult. But here you have an actress of sorts who was used to it and would love could cope with people taking pictures of you. It's difficult, and it's not easy to be within the monarchy either, because you have to go through with certain rules and behave in a certain way. I mean, Catherine has done this miraculously, really, and it was going to be hard for Meghan because she came from a different country. She would have no idea how it works, but you never thought she tried anything, really. She didn't like anything that wasn't done her way, and she wanted to pull Harry with her in the same way that she does now, and she did. He has to do whatever she wants to do. He has to do what she wants to do, and that's it.
All right, this next part is deeply disturbing. Angela Levin claims that Meghan used threats of self-harm to get what she wanted. If that sounds familiar, it's because Princess Diana herself struggled with similar issues. Now ask yourself, why would Meghan mirror that exact pattern? Is this a genuine struggle or is it a calculated move? This is where emotional blackmail comes in. Meghan allegedly told Harry that if she didn't get her way, she'd harm herself. And let's be real. Harry, a man who lost his mother in a tragic accident, would do anything to prevent another tragedy. And Meghan, he knows that.
He was very scared she might go away. She was very scared. I remember when I went to visit him at the palace, one of the aides said to me, be very careful because he's in a very nervous way in case she's going to leave him. This was before they announced any engagement. Just, take it easy, be careful. That I felt he wouldn't have said that to me unless Harry was really in a very anxious, difficult mood. Was he good enough for her, really? I think a lot of that was.
But Angela, again, that is, fascinating insight, by the way, and this is why you're the best, because of course you are the biographer of Harry. You spent all of that time with him, so you know the man personally. But what I would say is, again, that was incredibly manipulative. With everything we know about Meghan Markle now, as if she was ever going to leave because of the media attention. This is a woman who had been booking paparazzi photographers to follow her around London for months beforehand. This was a woman who had tried to set up dates with Ashley Cole, the England footballer who used to be married to Cheryl, the singer, Matt Cardle, who had won the X Factor, and Max George, who was a member of the boy band The Wanted. Actually, really nice guys, but nowhere near the level of fame of Prince Harry. So the idea that she was going to leave Harry is for the birds, but that doesn't matter because Harry believed it. Harry thought, if I didn't release this statement, that Meghan might leave. And that's what prompted actually a lot of the, I think, early ill will between the mainstream media and Harry and Meghan, because do you remember, Harry forced his press secretary, who didn't want to do it, Jason Knauf, to release that statement where he accused the media of racism. And this was at a time, Angela, when everyone was embracing and was really excited about Meghan Markle.
Yes. I think it was Vanity Fair that did an interview with Meghan, and she decided she wanted to do this, and she was talking about them being a couple and they loved each other and it was all wonderful. And I think that was there to force him to say that they have to, the press are appalling about this and they have to announce it. She pushed that he had to marry her now. And so, it happened, but it wasn't that she would wait. I can't imagine anybody who was going to marry a prince, a handsome prince, and would say to them, below you, I'm going to be interviewed by a very good magazine, and I'm going to say what it is, and too bad. That's what she did, really. He was obviously very pleased that she meant it, but actually it was a very crude thing to do. You got the picture. Good. Yes, interesting.
Folks, this isn't just a few coincidences. This is a pattern. Meghan has repeatedly styled herself after Diana, wearing similar outfits, recreating famous photo ops, and even mimicking her mannerisms in interviews. This is not admiration, this is branding. The goal? To make the public and Harry himself believe that she is Diana reincarnated. If Meghan is the second coming of Diana, then any criticism of her becomes an attack on Diana's legacy. And that, my friends, is how you control the narrative.
And this was a completely inappropriate thing for...
Well, I can't imagine anyone would dare do it.
No.
You know, how dare anyone?
But again, Angela, what really angers me about that is that the narrative that you get constantly from the Sussexes, the victims, is that, oh, the men in grey suits, all of the courtiers were trying to control Meghan, that they didn't want her to do things. No, that's rubbish. Actually, they even allowed her to go on the cover of Vanity Fair and give a completely inappropriate interview because they didn't really want to stop Meghan being Meghan. This is a narrative she created. In fact, the Queen the late Queen Elizabeth II, had even suggested that Meghan should continue her acting career.
Yes. But the other thing that the Queen did, which is very interesting, before they were absolutely engaged, was allowing Meghan to come to the family's Christmas. Now, she had until that moment not allowed anyone who wasn't actually married. You had to be married, not just engaged, because she realized his engagements can fall apart. And she didn't let Camilla go. She didn't let Catherine go, even. A perfect, wonderful, lovely wife, potential wife. But she let Meghan go to the royal family's Christmas to show that how pleased they were that Harry had found somebody. Now, you know, take some cleverness getting that out of the Queen, I'm sure. But the other thing that a lot of people have said to me that I have no idea if it's true, that she demanded to leave and said otherwise she would kill herself, that she demanded that Harry had to do, that she was, you know, on the floor crying when he came home because she couldn't stand it. She was going to kill herself. I don't know. I have no idea whether it was true or nonsense or anything, but it was a lot of drama. And he was terrified. And so he followed what she wanted.
Of course, he was led to believe that his wife was so unhappy with the situation that she might take her own life. And that is such a terrible thing, Angela, given, and again, I'm going to say it, I think this was all part of Meghan's manipulation because she knew, having read Andrew Morton's book as a teenager, that for Diana, and this is again where we look at the comparisons and why I think that Meghan has purposefully tried to copy Diana's story, because we know that there were cries for help in Diana's life. We know she did throw herself down the stairs, for example, while pregnant. Now, it probably wasn't a real suicide attempt. It was a desperate bid for attention.
Yes, but I think, you know, as well, you've got the excuse, and I don't mean that badly, that if you are pregnant, you can be quite different. You're not quite the same. You can easily cry, you easily can panic. So, but even if you put that in, it was too much. And I think maybe, certainly not with Diana, but maybe with the timing, it was done so that it would look even more overwhelming.
So where does this go next? Here's what I think. Meghan will keep reinforcing the Diana comparisons, because it's her strongest weapon. Harry will remain trapped in this cycle of emotional manipulation, unless he wakes up. The media will keep protecting Meghan, because the second people realize what's really happening, her brand falls apart. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Meghan Markle manipulated Harry by cosplaying Princess Diana? Or is this just a wild coincidence? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.